Okay. Hey guys, how is everyone? Yeah, so today we are going to be doing something different. I was trying to do some ways to improve my art, and I found that the best way to do it is just to start looking at some other artists and try to recreate some pieces they have created. Mostly very simple scenes that we could do in about 10 to 20 minutes. Hello, Sri Shiva. Hello, Daniel Neville. Glad to see you here. Yeah, I was a bit late today, but let's see how things go. So the first piece we're going to start with is this here. It was done in Unreal Engine by Zeng, I think. So if you just use the command !@ website, you can go to the first post that I've added, and I should be able to see the reference images that we're going to be working with. Hello, Burning Bright. How are you doing? Yeah, so let's start with this piece here. It's a good way to study light and how we can manage this. We're going to also attempt doing this in Eevee and cycles. So let me just have this on the side. I think I need a larger monitor so that I don't have, because I'm seeing sometimes we struggle. Sometimes I want to have these two things like this on one screen, but my screen resolution is not enough. So I have a 1920 by 1080 monitor, and I don't think it's enough. I think I need a monitor of about 2K for this to be, yeah. Anyway, so let's try recreating this, and what I'm going to do is just get a timer. Let me just expand this, see what I mean. Yeah, so we're going to create a few of these. Let me get a timer and I set it for about 20 minutes and see if we can be able to do this in 20 minutes, because I think this is a small piece. It shouldn't take us too much time. So let's do 20 minutes. And yeah. And this also has a nice animation. Let me play that for you. It really handles lighting very well. And yeah, the lighting was done in Unreal Engine. And if you look closely, there are also some particles. Again, if you want to get the reference images that we're using here, I just go to that link. You see the first post that is there. I missed most amazing streams on the channel, but I watched it later. It was awesome. Thank you. Which stream do you mean? Yeah, yesterday's stream? Yeah, so let's set up the lighting of this and see how we can get it. So we have 19 minutes. Just going to start with a plane, and think this can be just select everything, set up my camera. I think I'm just going to bring it here. Hello, Zigzag. What's up, man? What's up? Just grab these. So, Zigzag, what is your schedule like? Because you're always around here. I'm just interested in. You seem to. You must be self-employed. I know you are a freelancer. You must have a very. You must control your own time, it seems, because you're always here. Last stream of the city scene. Yeah, that was fun. Very, very fun. Okay, so we want to set up the lighting, but I think we need to start with some texturing. Now maybe let me add a solidify modifier. Apply the scale. Go to rendered mode. We're going to start with cycles and then go to Eevee. Samples. So it seems the way cycles works changed a bit here, because the denoising here looks way different from what I used to. Now we can use, let's go with automatic. The sample can be 10. Let me also use the same aspect ratio, 1920 by, yeah, something like that. Now we can use a sky texture since we are using cycles. So, but this needs to have a hole somewhere. So, going to add that in like that, and can also make the walls a bit thicker. "4:48 a.m. and it's all good in Atlanta." Nice. Let me first apply these. Just make these walls a bit thicker. Make them thicker. Just going to extend this. Go to the wall and use a sky texture. The knitting, you see, if you're in cycles, this is going to be very fun because the lighting is very easy. And let me just so this is the city we are creating. I think it looks good in the thumbnail here. Let me save this as lighting study. Okay, I'm going to reduce the sun size so that we have some sharp shadows, and let's change the angle 45. Let's change the elevation to something like 150. So the sun is hitting directly, and I think that's a good way to start. And the other thing we need to do is start working on the texturing. So this texture, we go to Eevee. I'll start with a new material. We can use my texture folder add-on. So I can get the add-on, and let me just type in !@ add-ons to see the add-ons I'm using if you want to get them. And yes, I control my own time because I'm retired and I'm 63. Nice. That's amazing, man, to be able to control. That's my goal, man, because yeah, you decide when to work or doing your own hobbies. It's yeah, that's my goal, man, and hopefully what I'm doing now can get me there. Okay, so this is what we have. I want a very bright spot coming in, same like this. So let's start by creating a PBR texture for this. I'm going to use object mapping. Apply the scale, just reduce this down so that things are not tiling too much. Okay, so the problem with this texture is that it has this kind of shadow material into it. So let me go in here. What is this time out? So I'm just trying to make this scene in yeah, it was 20 minutes, so it's already almost 7 minutes out. And I think let's blend this with a different material texture here. Just make sure that they are using the same. Need this to overlay. And let's add a convert math node here. So one thing I'm noticing is that our scene seems to be way brighter than the scene here. So what we can do is try play with the exposure, because I don't want to change the strength of the light. So if we bring this down a bit, you see what we get. And I maybe also change the angle of the light a bit. So let's go back to the world settings. Let's try 60. Oh, the elevation, let's try 70. Okay, so then it changes it. It's just changing the direction. Let's bring it back to 90. And I think it is the rotation. 5. Okay. You know what? Let me do this up here because sometimes it's very hard to get the right rotation. But if you add something like a cube here at the top, we can play with the rotation because I want the shadows. I want the sun to be hitting from an angle like this. Add a point light upward. Point light upward. I don't think that is going to give us the results we are going for here. Let's try changing the elevation to 20. Okay, so that means that the sun is from this side pushing this side. And I don't think that's what we want, so let's try 180. Okay, 45. 0. 10. Let's try 25. Rotation, let's go with the rotation and see. 180. Yeah, so I want the shadow to be on that side. So now I can come back to my scene here. And let's try change the angle of rotation of elevation. That's 10, 7, 60. Let's try 180. Let's try 90. The maximum is 90 days, I think. So I'm trying to see what else we can add to make this look interesting. Let's try adding the same walls that he has here. So maybe just grab this piece here, Shift D, and then extrude it down like that. Control L, and also just make sure that this is well extruded. Maybe turn it into its own object. And can also just try to align these. I think he did some color correction, so let's try doing that. So if I use curves, there is a little bit of red going on in this. And maybe the material itself, we can give it some more reddish color, because right now it looks like that, a bit washed out. I'm just going to change this to overlay, give this a warm color like that. Now maybe let me first remove the curves. This is too warm, so something like that. And again, we can play with the exposure a bit to make it darker, and just go to the sun and increase its intensity, something like that. And I'm going to go to my asset library. You need sun on the head. Okay, let me get that. For that, let's just add, I think I have this, and I think we can give it the same material. Just has to make sure that is And the lighting now looks a bit identical. And what we can do, because I like this lighting here, and the sun is not giving us that here. So what I'm going to do is add an area light at the entrance here. Just scale this light up. So this light, let's make it a bit wider. Why is it not increasing? Okay. I want it to be the size of this. So something like that. And we just give it a very powerful strength. Yeah, maybe that's too powerful. Actually, it might be exactly that much. And I think these walls here can be a bit thicker or longer as well. And let's put something in the back here. We still have a few minutes, so let's make the composition a bit more interesting. Let's try. Okay, our exposure is still a little bit high compared to what he has, so let's bring that down. And maybe what we can do is go back to this and play with the sky. Sky color a bit. So the sky has to be overexposed. Which GPU are you using? You can use exclamation mark specs to see my setup. Can we use emission texture where the light is coming from? Yeah, I think we can do that to simulate overexposure here, because you wouldn't have. Actually, I think that's why we need to go back to this. Just bring the exposure up a bit at somewhere like that, and just going to add a plane here. Just scale it up, and just make sure that let me give it a new material, that it doesn't cast any shadows. So if I go to the object data, visibility, it shouldn't cast any shadows, and it shouldn't be visible to the camera. But what I want it to be, I want it to be emissive. So I'm just going to use a shader, emission shader, and give it a very high. Actually, it should be visible to the camera. Give it a very high value. So maybe that's too strong. And since I have that, then we don't need this area light, because then this should be enough. Now, one thing might be lacking here. We can use some displacement. So I'm going to do vector bump. So we have some displacement within this vector. Okay, so connect this to the height and then this to the height. And I can use a car ramp to control how much. It is there, but very settled, so we don't want it to be overpowering. Maybe another thing that is making his scene look way better is these outside walls might be higher. So I don't know, something like this, because I think they're casting some shadows that we are failing to cast. And you might also have to play with our sun. Did you learn composition, lighting, etc. separately, or just on the process of learning Blender? Yeah, I learned I didn't learn them separately. It was just continuously just jumping between different things. So we have 2 minutes left, and then we can try rendering this in Eevee and see if we can get similar results. So let's see what else can we try and do. Let me try resetting the exposure again. So that's what we have. If I reduce, actually I think using the gamma also help, because it gives it that glowy effect that I think we were missing. Now if I bring, we don't want to use this light, we want to use this. If I hide that, actually I think we can hide it and see you can play with the gamma instead of the exposure, and I think it gives you a more rich contrasted look than maybe these blocks are a bit too saturated, so we can come in here and play with the color a bit and make it less saturated. And I think now we are starting to come closer to the same look here. And maybe what would be lacking is, some volumetrics. So if we add that, let's give this a new material, shader principal volume. And I think that does it. Basically, if you use a cube and make loop cuts, then the lighting can be perfect. Well, yeah, you have this sky texture is very good. It's very good for lighting. That's what I would say. Instead of the Empress, add a large scale plane far with emission. The issue is that then you won't have, you will have soft shadows instead of the harsh shadows like what we are using here. So what you're saying, let me first so time has run out, but let me show you what you mean. So if we use, let me first hide this. If we first shut off the sky, I'm just going to remove the strength until it's 0. So instead, if we use a plane with an emissive material, a shader emission, it will do the same thing, but the problem is we are going to have only soft shadows. So you can see we don't even have any shadows going down. But it's also a nice look. Don't get me wrong. And what I want to show you is that if I have, say, a circle here, you barely see its shadow, because the plane here is giving us soft shadows. But if we bring back the sun, just going to hide this, you see how sharp the shadows are. So that's the difference there. At the base of the sculpture looks awful. Which one? By the way, the sculpture is from Quick. What is it called? Megascan. Multiply the diffuse with a dark reddish color. Oh, do you mean here? Yeah. So let's try recreating the same color. Actually, let's try recreating the same color, the same lighting using Eevee. So if we switch to Eevee, you're going to see that there's quite a big difference. The lighting is not going to be there. The shadows are not going to be there, simply because Eevee doesn't support this Nishita type of sky. If you try this, it's also not going to give us the same results. So what we can do, we can just remove this entirely. And this time, let's start by adding a sun. And let's reset the timer to another 20 minutes. I can start with a sun here. It looks really awful. Just let's see what else. And Now we need some bounce lighting. So for that, we can add some irradiance map. Just going to scale this. Just get rid of the volume first. Just scale this on the Y as well, like that. Now let's start baking this and see. We can add ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflection. For now, we can first hide that. Bonjour, Joshua. How are you doing? What if we use an emissive material and an area light? I think I explained that because it doesn't give us soft shadows. This was supposed to be like this. Now let's try baking this light and see if it will give us what we want. So indirect lighting, bake. And that's actually impressive. Gives us some nice lighting. It doesn't equal to what Cycles gave us, but it's a nice start. So let's let's try enclosing the walls within this and bake again. This time let's try increasing the bounces to the cube size. I think the higher you make it, the better. Is it? I don't remember. Bake again. Greetings from UK. Hello, Grant22. Greetings from East Africa. Okay. Now we can, let me reset my gamma. So this is how everything looks by default. We can amplify the ambient occlusion a bit, maybe even increase this, maybe something like this. Let's see, that's without the bloom effect. We can bring back this emissive shader. Just make sure that for it under settings it doesn't produce any shadows, cast any shadows. Give it a warm material. Same with the sun, give it a warm material. Bake again. Play with the. Is it a creep atom or a volt? I have no idea. I just saw some interesting work. Now we can also bring back the volume object, so cube, and this is where Eevee is better because volumetrics render much faster in Eevee than in Cycles. And I think the Eevee render is also looking nice. So let's give it the same volume material. I think it was this. Just bring this up. Let me see if I increase. That doesn't help. Yes, bake again. And we can also bake some reflections. Let's add this, what is it called? A reflection plane. Actually, not a reflection plane. Let's add a reflection cube. Just scale it up so we can capture some reflections. And what I'm missing is that light around the entrance there. So I'm going to add that with an area light. So Shift A, area light. around here. Just scale it. I think the value was about 10. Maybe this time let's use 8, and have it at the entrance around there. Make it very powerful, so something like 1000. Maybe that is even less. And so we have a bright spot on the entrance there, and hide everything else. This should cover the entire space. And one thing we could do is add some fake light here just for this, and because this looks a bit flat for me, so what I'm going to do is let me first hide other walls and just look at actually this also looks amazing. I think what I don't like is this normal map, so I'm just going to get rid of that. A piece like this looks interesting enough. I think looks good. So what I wanted to add is add some area light here. Let me see if I can get that with some harsh shadows. Let me see if I can yes, some overexposed. Like that. Maybe 200. I don't want to have any volume for it, so something like that. Yes, maybe you can duplicate this. I am magnificent. How are you? I'm great. I'm great. Great. Add a cube on the entrance and give it a volume emission and fake that step. What step do you want me to fake? Not sure. Shift D. I think this by itself can be an interesting piece. Let's pick the lighting again. I think because of this new light we have just added, it has changed the entire light. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Bake again. Never mind, it looks good by itself. Thank you. Let's see. Just play with the exposure again. And it has that what is the movie? What movie is that? I'm forgetting the movie, but that feel. Okay, so yeah, I think we have successfully gotten the look. This is Eevee, and if we compare it with Cycles, of course, it's going to look a bit different because we have made a few changes to the lighting. But let's see. Yeah, this still looks good. Yeah, Blade Runner. Yeah, it has that Blade Runner feel to it, especially when he's in the desert scene. The desert scene. Okay, so that's the. I can stop the timer. So that's one piece, and I'm going to save this project for anyone who wants to get it. So it will be available on my Patreon, which you can get. Let me see if I have a Patreon. let me see. I'm not sure if I have that, but yeah, that's the piece. Let's go to the next piece. Again, you can see all the pieces we're going to try and replicate by typing in website, and that should take you to the Blender and Beyond website, where you find the posts. This post here for the live stream, and I'll be posting all the renders we have done and their corresponding links or reference images. So these are some of the pieces we're going to do. So let's go to the second piece. Let's get rid of this. Let's go with this, or I have a few pieces that I want to do in this stream, and I'm not sure what order to go. Now this is too easy. We can do that last. We're not doing this. There's simply a lot of vegetation. My piece wouldn't handle it very well. But I guess let me first show you some of the pieces we want to recreate. This piece here also looks nice, and they're very simple. It can be done within 20 minutes. This is also another piece. Maybe let's try this. This piece here again has that Blade Runner feel to it, and since we have some buildings, we don't really have to create other buildings from scratch. So let me create a new project. I'll call this Blade Runner environment. I think this is going to be best done in Eevee because of the amount of volumetrics we have. But let's see. So we're going to start with the composition. Just setting up the camera. Aspect ratio should be 1080 by 1920. Okay, that's too small. Let me make this 200 and see. Or 19. Let's just do 1920. A square aspect ratio. Or yeah, something like that. Now, Squid Games. You think this has a feeling of Squid Games? What do you mean? Okay, so for this, I'm just going to go to my asset library. I already have a few buildings, because if we are trying to create these from scratch and start with the buildings, it would take quite a lot of time. Let me reset the timer to 20 minutes again. I'll go to the asset library and my buildings pack. I have a few buildings, and let's start with those. And I think I need to view them from an angle like this, like what it has. Let's go to textured view or rendered mode. Okay, I was worried the textures we are not loading in, but they're there. So that's one building. Let's add a few more. Maybe this. By the way, you can get this texture pack, this building pack, by going to my Blender Market page. It should be there. So add this as well. Just a few buildings. Okay, this has a night, but let's see if it would work. And the great thing about these buildings is that they look different from different sides, so you can use them repeatedly. And yeah, so let's get that look. Try and see if you can get that look. So the first thing I think we could do is add a volume. So shade, we can just use an object, cube, scale it up, to fit everything. Let me turn on my shortcuts. And let's give this a new material. Shade, principal volume. Connect this to the volume. Make sure I'm saving. Now, how are we going to use this? The model that you use that was made by you or downloaded? Which one exactly? The buildings were made by me, but if you're talking about the statue that we used in the previous stream, that was got from Megascans. Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is change the volume color to kind of a brownish color. Reduce the this, and now for the strength, for the emission, let's give it the same look like that. Now, I don't want these to be lit, so I'm going to make sure that they use the same day glass. So day glass, so that they're not lit up. Let me see. So for this, okay, this is a bit difficult, more difficult than I thought. So let's try working with one thing at a time. So you see, we have a gradient that goes up and down. So that means maybe it's dusty up here and maybe it's too dark here. So let's try to create a gradient of the same nature. So I'm going to use input geometry. Let me first turn off the volume so that we can see what we're doing. So we want to separate the object coordinates. So I'm going to use convert, separate x, y, z, and I want the z axis, which gives me a gradient like that. And if I add a convert math node here and change the operation to multiply, I can scale up or scale down that noise. So it gives me a nice fade like that. And if I add another math node here, change the operation to add, I can move this down or up like that, and that gives us a nice transition. They look like the movie Dune. I haven't watched that, but I think it has also that desert feel. I can also add another node here, change this to power. You see, because I want it to be a bit more elaborated like that. Or we can use, let me see, I want to use, if we use this as the emission color, we can set the strength to 1 and just use a color ramp, a convert color ramp here. And this should give us that noise. And we want the bottom part to be emission color. So the emission strength can be 1. So you can see now we are making the bottom side a bit, it's not really making it dark, we're just making it none. Yeah. Okay, so that looks a bit too bright. And maybe, let's see, if I add another node here, give it, maybe the emission strength could be something like 5 or 2. Let's try 0.1, just to make it more dusty. Now we can again go back to color management and play with our gamma and see if this is going to help. Yeah, I think that is going to help. Use 2 volumes, volume shader, black and red, mix with using a gradient mask, which I think would be the same thing as this, but let's see. Another one like this, and blend the 2, you say. Let me see how that would do. So, and 1 can be, and maybe another one dark, another one. Okay, I think that also works. Maybe even much better. because the down part here is looking better than I remember. And I can even now, actually, I take it back. This is a much efficient way, because now we can even play with the density of one of the nodes. Just like that. And we have some light coming off from this side, so I'm going to add a very large, let's try using a sun, like this, from one direction, from this direction. And let's try using an area light, because the sun just goes everywhere. Just change the distance to a very large distance. And the strength, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't have any emission or any volume, doesn't have any volume, so something like. And I just reduce the value of this slightly. And another thing we can do, we can come to the material of these objects or these buildings, just make them a bit more reflective. So roof, make that more reflective. Yeah, I think we might also need to use the curves a bit. Just to make the effect more amplified. And, I like how this building looks, so maybe let me just scale this a bit and try to achieve the same look. Maybe not scale it that much, but just rotate it and repeat it in the same fashion. Do we have ambient occlusion turned on? So let me make sure that we have ambient occlusion turned on, bloom, and screen space reflections. And another thing we can do, can go to the camera and just make sure that this is using a full pass out, so that we can see the full look like that. And I think we can also move some of these buildings back there. Maybe move some of these down. Let's add other buildings. It looks better. Thank you, thank you. You may need a sharp gradient than the current. Okay. So our gradient, this here, we're using. First of all, since we have this, let's make sure that this is not having any color, doesn't have any color. So I'm just going to get rid of this node. Get rid of this node. Just make sure that this is a black and white gradient completely. No saturation. Now I can make this somewhat. So a sharp gradient gives us something like that. Then maybe we can, let me see which one would be up. So if I change the color of this, okay, so this is the down gradient. I can give this a density, and that will make sure that the down area is also dark. So let me give it a density of 2. High contrast, but yeah, we could also use a high contrast look here. So if I make this I think we need to change the color here. Make sure that this doesn't have any density. I can even give the density of a higher value than 1 and see how that affects everything. Just going to make sure that this is set to wireframe in the viewport so that I can see everything. And to make this interesting, I'm just going to bring a building closer to the camera. Like this. Maybe even scale it more. I like the reflections that the building has, but so somewhere, let me see if I rotated it, because what I want to do is see the roof. Actually, no, let's not rotate it. Have it somewhere, maybe somewhere like that. And I'm going to just go to my asset library, collections. I want to go to my, God, just unlinked the library. Actually, it's not there, it's still there. I want to go to my characters, or to my mega scans, and under collection, I have some characters. So I can grab this guy here. I'll put him on the roof and see how that would add to the scene. He needs to be scaled really down. Oh, Saudi Arabia has winter. Saudi Arabia has winter? Maybe dust winter or something, because yeah, I don't think. Yeah, so have this guy standing over the edge like that. I think we have achieved the look. Now we still have a few minutes, but we can add in more things. So let's go back to the building city park. See, okay, I don't want to use this. I want to use building park. This here, buildings. See what other things we can add, and other buildings can we add. I have this Tony Stark building. Let me see if that fits well in this scene. What I like about it is its shape. The shaders are still compiling. Did you change the world lights? The world lights are off. They're not. Oh, so that was what was lighting up this side. If we have that, yeah, there is nothing in the world except a few gradient lights, which I'm okay with. I think I can leave this to 1 because I want some of that part to be lighted, to be lit. Can have this way back there, maybe even rotated just in the background like that. And then maybe let's grab another building, this building, which uses night lighting, which I don't want. Let's see, grab this. And we can add some text here. We have 3 minutes. So text, I can have, I don't know, we can call this block 665, I don't know, something, because I want to have something to show that maybe change the font to a more interesting font, a more thick font. Would need supporting stuff for this, so let's not do that. Actually, I think it made the scene look more better. It's we need more stuff to hold it. Set the world color to black. Yeah, that's going to get rid of some of the ambient lighting that I have. Try very high contrast. Are we already at, okay, medium high? Very high contrast. Yeah, it's making the colors a bit more saturated. So let's try medium low. No, we want medium high, somewhere like that, around there. Okay, make my name okay, let's try that. Well, is it WA while shall he, like that? It does make the render better, I guess. Yeah. So I think that's it. We have done this within 1 minute. 1 minute and 20 minutes. Let's try seeing this in cycles. I don't think we're going to do a cycles render, because cycles takes a lot of render time when it comes to rendering this, but I think it still looks good. You just have to play with the volume color a bit, and we should be good. Yeah, I've set the world color to black. I guess doesn't really make that much a difference. So that is this portion done in time. So again, I'm saving this. If you want to get it, you can just become a patron and request for the project. Let's go to the next piece. Again, the reference images, you just have to go under website. I'm just going to use the exclamation mark website. Now that will take you to the Blender and Beyond website. This website where you can look at the reference images that we have just used. Yeah, that website. So let's pick another render. This, let me see, this piece here looks good, so let's go for that. Again, let me first try to reset the timer. This piece here. Okay, reset, start. I'm going to save this. Control new project, shift. I'll call this jail. Save. Okay, so for this, we can start with Eevee again. Set up the camera to be directly facing the scene, and we can start with a cube. Now that's means cube. Scale this in the Z direction, and that's going to be our cube. Now you can see we have a lot of subdivisions like this, so we can get rid of the top and the bottom like that. So we have this, and to make our lives easier, we can just use a wireframe like that to create the cage. Now we can then just duplicate this, delete the cage, and remove the top part, hit F to have that bottom like that, and have the ceiling as well. You're the man, one-on-one. Thank you, man. Scale this up. I'm going to just make sure that I'm just going to use random colors so I can see everything more clearly, or you guys can see everything more clearly. Now, since this face is subdivided, actually it's not. It's going to give us more problems. Let me just start with a plane like this. Bring it up like that. Subdivide it a few times. Maybe that's too many times. Duplicate it and give it a wireframe as well, and that's going to be our ceiling thing, like that. Let's just give it a small thickness like that, and then we can start setting up the lighting and everything. So let's first set up this. We're going to make sure that our environment has some volumetrics. Now you use a roof emission. A roof emission would be okay, but I think a translucent material is going to be better. I'm going to show you what I mean. So if I change this to wireframe and I use, let's go to the render view. Just make sure that this has a volume, so shader principal volume. The density can be something like 0.1, and this is what we have, and this is supposed to be in the volume like that. This light can go, and in the world settings I'm just going to remove that, and so we have everything set up like this. So if we just use an emission shader on this, shader emission, it's just going to give us a look like that. Looks like as Hannibal lecture in jail. We bite off other man's face. Yeah, I didn't watch Hannibal, so I don't get the reference. But how do you tackle too much ideas? Because I enjoyed Blender, so I kind of experiment a lot. So if we use an emission shader, this is what we get. It doesn't really get us the look we want. So instead of using the emission shader, I'm just going to use a translucent material like this. And the great thing about this is that now I can add an area light above this. I think also our camera needs to come down just a little bit and maybe look up a bit. So I can use an area light like this, have it pointed down like that, and this translucent material will not have any shadow. So if you start lighting, you can see how each area light, if I duplicate that using Shift D on the X, you can see I can start creating light boxes like this, like that, which I think is going to give us a more richer look than using the emission. They add those lines in for us, so which is, I think, okay. So okay, so let's grab the other lights. Shift G type to grab the lights. Go to top mode, Alt D, or we can use Shift D or Alt D. I think Alt D should work better. Repeat these using Shift R, and we have basically the same thing. Actually, I think they should also all use the same light data. So control link object data like that, and just give them. We can even play with light to make it bluish, and you can see we already have achieved that look. And there is some light bleeding up here. We can fix that by just duplicating this face, extrude it up like that. Control, just make sure that it's a separate object with a separate material, like that. Maybe a darker material, so we cut off the light up there. Add blue in the background. So the blue, we can just simply use the density, the density color to make everything blue instead of just doing that. Then for the chair, we're not going to make the chair from scratch. That would be a lot of work. So I'm going to use my asset library, and I have an asset pack for furniture, full of furniture, and you can get that using if you go to my CG Trader account. Maybe let me promote that for a second. I haven't done that in a while. So if you go to CG Trader stroke Smiles VFX, let me paste that in there. I can go here and I find all my assets that I used in the asset library, and everything else. You can get them from there. They are quite inexpensive, very cheap. It also helps support the channel. So let's go to that asset pack. So furniture actually is my furniture pack, which I haven't linked in. So I'm going to link that. Create link. I'll just go to libraries, furniture for Eevee library. I think it's this. Yeah, it's this. I can go into my collection. I have a bed. I have chairs. All of these can be found in the asset pack. So let's grab a chair that looks similar to that. We can use a gaming chair actually, just to show you off. Show that off. Now it's looking similar. Yeah, that's yeah. So we have our gaming chair like that. And what I'm going to do is add light, because right now this is how it looks. It looks not properly lit because most of the light has been already diffused. So what I'm going to do is just add an area light above it like that, and just get rid of the volume, so that I maybe even scale this down and bring the light. Maybe use 50. Something like that. It would have been better if the chair was a different, maybe the same color, red. So let me make this editable so that I can change the colors of this. Grab this color, maybe can make it white. We can make it red, like that. Do you always use Eevee? Mostly when I'm streaming, I'm using Eevee because that's what my computer can handle best. How much powerful GPU need to render my 200 frames in cycle? It depends on what you are rendering. If you're just rendering the default scene, which is just a cube, it might just, any computer can render that. So it is going to depend on what you're rendering. And I think we have a phone, which I don't have. I don't think I have a. Do I? Do I have a phone? I think I just need to go into my deco collection. So library, decos, and see if I have that. I don't think I have. I don't think I have that. I don't think I have a phone, and we're not going to make a phone from scratch. That would be too much. And again, we can use, let's see, what else can we add in here? We can animate the camera a bit. So I'm just going to go here, bake the lighting before render. Oh, let's try baking the lighting, as you said. So let's see, irradiance volume, scale that up. Just scale it up like this, to fit everything in. And let's try baking. Oh, we're lacking screen space reflections, so let's add them. So I'll just go and indirect lighting, try to bake. I don't think it's going to make any difference, as we don't have a lot of wall to bake the lighting. So I'm just going to delete the baked lighting. And let me play with the contrast here. The gamma ray, the gamma, and exposure. I think that's good. For the carpet, let me just go to my asset library and look for something that would work for this. I think I can just grab this, add that as the material. We still have 8 minutes. Just give this, and I can insert this and create a new material or a new slot, and assign this material to that slot. just unwrap this, and we have gaming PC. Here I don't have a gaming PC. I have a gaming PC, but it's not in my library, so I'm getting it. It would be quite a lot. Okay, so let's see what else can we add. Again, I wanted to animate the camera. I'm moving in closer, so let's just do that. And the other thing we can do, this red here is a bit too saturated, so I'm going to make it less saturated. And can also make sure that this is also not too saturated, maybe even a bit darker. Add a computer in your scene. I don't have a computer in my assets, but what I can add is under my mega scans, we can add a character. I'll just add this guy here, looking the other way. I mean, just turn off the keyframes, scale him down, just add him somewhere there. Makes the scene, I think, more interesting. And with the character, that's a lot of work. And maybe another thing we could do, let me just borrow a light here. Just have that down. Doesn't look as cool as I thought it would. No, actually, let's, yeah, I think this scene is also done. So let's go to the next scene. Again, if you want the project file, it will be available on my Patreon page. You can just type in !links, and that will give you my Patreon page if you want to check that out. Cycles. Okay, let's see how this looks in cycles. So change to GPU denoise as well. Yeah, I don't think it looks that different. Maybe you would have to play around with volume and make sure that this slide doesn't produce any volume. And also, because we are in cycles, we will also need to make sure that this here, this translucent material, doesn't cast any shadows in visibility. Like that. Let me first hide this and this and this, because it seems like these don't produce any volumetrics. This material here, this object here, should also not cast any shadows for us to be able to get any. Yeah, so let's go back to this here, to these lights, and make sure that they are not, they're not too powerful, and unhide everything. Yeah, the volume has to be a bit larger for cycles, otherwise you're going to have some light bleeding. But I like how we have now some shadows going on. We are getting some volumetric shadows from these lights. And let's try reducing the lights even further by putting them to something like 5. This light here, I don't want it to cast any shadows or any volumetrics. Volume, let me make sure this is something like 20. And the size could be 5 1.5 1 10. Yeah, that's cycles. Bro, next, can you make an epic nature scene? Yeah, I stay away from nature scenes because they are very computational. They demand a lot of computational power. So, yeah, and my PC is not really that powerful. That's why you see I kind of stay away from them. So, let's go to the next scene. Let me go back to Eevee because I think for this scene, Eevee would be the better render engine. As yeah, as you can already see, give it a slight animation, and that's what we are getting. So, go to the next project. This is looking too simple. We can do that later. Let's try doing this. Has some interesting look. You had 2 minutes left on the timer, but that's okay. Can you stay 2 hours? Usually my live streams are usually around 2 hours. Make a cremation ground scene. Yeah, we could do that in maybe next stream. I just wanted to do something that wasn't going to take too much time. So for this, again, let's reset the timer. It should be very, very simple. Just accept the cloth is here, but that's okay. We can use something different. We're going to start the timer again. We can start by setting up the plane. I think the camera is already in a nice angle, so we don't have to do much there. Add a cube. Let me turn on random colors. Grab this, move it up, delete this corner. So we have something like this. Then we have a solidify modifier. Even thickness like that. Maybe move it closer, something like that. So we have that. Turn on ambient occlusion, maybe a distance of 2, and we are set. New material. Go to make sure that we are in render view here. We can change, make sure that this is set to 0. Yeah, so let's start with these. I think I'm going to invert the solidify modifier, so I'm just going to have it go the other way. Like that. Bro, what do you think of Cycles X? Overrated? I haven't really given it a good test. So you can add a computer. Yeah, I don't really have a computer model ready to go, so I can grab this, hit Y, and separate this. Now in my asset library, I already have a few of these things, so I can go into the asset library under my furniture pack, Activist furniture pack collections, and beds. I have a bed. Let me see anything that matches this. I think I have this bed that looks kind of similar, so let's use this. Maybe scale it down. And just bring that like that. And I think we're going to use cycles for this because it's going to be much better in cycles. So let's change this to cycles. Let's start noising at 10. And we are going to add some curtains, which I think I have under decals. Nope. Ground. Nope. Let's see, and a collection. Fabrics. Oh. Okay, let's first go. If I go to my other, making isometric work is so much fun. Yeah, because most of the things are very simple, are not too difficult. So you can get away with, you can do a lot in a very small time. So let's go to my, I think, let me see if I have some umbrellas in my decals, deco. Because if I decided to make everything from scratch, we would stay here for quite some time. Building. Let me see if I have a different library that might contain this. Oh, by the way, I was forgetting. I also have another add-on that I usually forget about, but it's called the cloth library, and I think it would be nice for this, except I'm using Blender 3, which is a bit which has a bug. Let me fix that just so the add-on works here. So let me see what the bug is. Go window. Yeah, so if you're interested in Python, this is how you debug an add-on. So it's on line, the bug is on line 10, and a functions. So let me go under my functions, make sure that I'm looking at the asset, the cloth library add-on. Let me go under, I think it's under my functions, line 10. One of my variables. With directory name, path, join. I really remember fixing this bug. I just make sure. Let me see. Recent. I see what the problem is. I'm using two separate add-ons. So let me go to my just copy the correct one. The cloth library 3, and just replace it here, and that should fix the bug I have. Let's see. And it works now. So what I wanted, I have a few curtains here. So if I go to pre-made objects, I think I already have curtains here. Yeah, we do. So let's add those instead of creating everything from scratch. Make them a bit longer, and the material, we can use the same material. One thing we can do is just use a shader translucent to make them a bit translucent, and also add a shader diffuse to blend them a bit, and just have the factor somewhere here, and then add an area, a very large emissive material around the back here. So new material, shader, emission, like that. Let's try 20, or let's try 5, like that. So let me save this as isometric render. Now, one thing you will notice is that because this is double-sided, we're also getting light bouncing, emitting from this side here, which I don't want. So I want only light to go in one direction. So to do that, what we can do is just add input geometry, and there is a back-facing mask under geometry. You can see one side is white, one side is black, and we can use that as a mixed shader. So if we get another shader, maybe a diffuse shader, blend the two, we can use this mask as the mask. And now you can see that the back side is not emissive, but the front side is emissive, and we can even make the back side black like that. So we won't be getting any light in the back like that. So I'm just going to scale this down a bit and have something like that. Okay, so these can have some slight color and maybe a pinkish color like that. But the diffuse, I also want the diffuse to have the same color, so I can just use an input RGB, and I just make sure that this uses this color, so it can be fade in both the diffuse and the other color like that. So we have that. The walls also can get a nice cream color, so just make it a bit rough and cream like that. Another thing I can do is add an area light up here, just so we have something to light up the scene from above. We have some light from above like that. 50 is enough. Just make it cover the entire. I'm not sure why. I don't know if this is a bug, but you can no longer scale the lights by just dragging them like that. So I don't know why that feature was removed, or maybe it's a bug. So we have that. Then, yeah, what doesn't fit the scene is these are the materials for our bed. So let's go back to the asset library, make this object editable. Let me make sure that I have something. So ArcViz, yeah, just make this editable. That will make it easy for us to change the color. Change light color. Which light color? The top or this here? So this I want it to have a different color. So I'm just going to add. Actually, let me remove this. I want to add a mix RGB node. Change this to color so that we can affect just the color. Get this to 1. Give it a reddish color like that. And maybe this here can also be a different color. Maybe same material as this, control link materials like that. Change the top color. The top color of this to what? Actually, that is not too bad. Okay, this is also adding light to our scene, which I don't want. To a red color. Think something neutral is would be okay. Now we also have these furniture pieces. Let's make sure that the wood color is somewhere good like that. Maybe it's a bit now we can also just rip the guy's art and copy exactly what he's done and add some picture frames. I have a set here. They're too large, so I'm just going to scale them down. Yes. Add a computer. I do not have a computer, man. Let's grab this piece. Just make sure it's not going into the wall. And another thing I want to do is have some light coming through this area. So I'm just going to let me see if I add. Just make sure that this doesn't cast any shadows. So I'll go to viewport or visibility and make sure it doesn't cast shadows, so that I can have a light. Let me see, 100. Let me first hide this because I want this light. I'm not seeing the effect of this light, so let me just get all the light and move them to a new collection called lights. Add palms. palms in a bedroom. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I want this light here. Okay, so we need the size to be somewhat like that. Let's do 200. Yeah, something like that. And we can bring this light back and then this light and undo. Just bring this down here and maybe add a plane. But this plane, I don't want it to be visible by to the camera, or yeah. But then it's also blocking light in other areas. So maybe because I want to have some light entering the scene, but I don't want it to. Let's try using an area light, a spotlight like this, just to focus some light in here. And yeah, just bring this. Yeah, so exactly that. Just give it a slight rotation. You can show cone to see how this light is. I don't want it to be a cone shape. I want it to be kind of cut off. And I don't want it to be very soft. Add a plant. Assyrian internet makes the render pixelated. Yeah, sorry about that. Bump the saturation of what? Saturation of what? We can go into color management maybe and just play with the this. I really want that shadow there, but yeah, I think I can also make this a bit rougher. And also, if I go to my building parts, I think I have some doors or city building. Let me actually rotate this light a bit. And the problem I hate is that it's creating a circular light instead of, let's try using an area light. Okay, now that would look better, but the problem is I want the background as well. Oh, now we have run out of time. I think other render looks okay. We can stop there, except this here. I wish there was a way to just subtract this light so that it doesn't affect this here. Your scene is so dark and desaturated compared to the reference. Well, we're not copying the reference one-to-one. Yeah, I wanted to have some light like that, and maybe we can add some windows or doors. Maybe just grab this, Shift D, hit P, just select that edge loop, hit F, and we can make a door from this. So I'm just adding a loop here, and then two faces like that, insert them. Add a child character. I don't have a child character. What I have are adult characters. And those we can add very, very easily. So I can just go under my collection. Under Megascan, I think I have a character here. We can add in to the scene. Maybe around that height. Maybe she should be seated. Yes, make editable, and then you should be able to make her. Let's see it. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so we are done with this set. Let's go to the next. The next set. I think we have done something like this already. So let's not repeat ourselves. This looks good, but nah. Let me see this. Bro, can you shortly explain what is texture baking? Texture baking is just because right now you see this it's usually used because you're going to transfer the object to a different program. So maybe you want to transfer this bed to Unreal Engine or Cinema 4D, and Unreal Engine or any other 3D application doesn't use the same materials or material settings as Blender. So if you transfer these materials, Cinema 4D, 3ds Max will just look at the materials and won't understand what that is. So when you bake the textures or materials, it bakes them into images because every 3D application can understand images and can import them, then it will just import them easily without any issues. That's basically what is texture baking. Because different programs don't communicate very well, don't understand what the other program is. Your best option is to just bake them into images that a different program will understand. Let's see. This looks good as well. But I think we can start from there in the next live stream. Yeah, you're welcome, no problem. So this has been nearly 1.5 hours. And let's just review what we have done within that. We created this scene, and let me save. Then we created the jail scene as well. Hey, Shells, thank you for the 7.99. As I'm not sure what those are, but thank you. I say, hey, I love your channel. From Saudi Arabia. Yeah, thank you. How is Saudi Arabia? How are things there? This one is so hard. Which one? This one. Maybe let's do this and maybe end the stream there, because I think I usually stream for about 2 hours, so we have about 20 minutes. Saudi Arabia Real. Oh, thank you. I don't think I've ever had any Royal money, so thank you. Okay, so that is for sure, in short. Okay, so let's try making this again. 20 minutes. Start. Create a new project. This should be easy. We can start with these beams here, which should be very easy. We can start with, I think, a circle like this, rotate it 90 degrees, and get rid of one side and the bottom, so that we only have the arc. And then from that, we can rotate this from the cursor. We are making the arc here. Rotate it 90 degrees, rotate it 45 degrees, I think, like that. And we can now use a mirror to mirror these. Let me make sure that I have applied the rotation. Mirror this like this. Now I can extrude, turn on clipping on the X, and extrude on the Y. Is that really the shape? I don't think so. You're welcome. Thank you, man. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Actually, that's not the shape. I think we need to start with the circle like that. Just get rid of this bottom and just extrude this. Extrude on the Y like that. Shade smooth, auto smooth like that. And then the next thing would be to just fill it in like this. So that is, how is it called? Manifold. Then use Shift D to duplicate it and rotate it 90 degrees. Actually, you don't have to duplicate it. We just need to add an empty like this. Then add a mirror modifier. And just use this as the mirror object. Rotate this 90 degrees. Rotate this 45 degrees to have something like this. And I think we don't need this face here. We don't need this face here. We don't need this face here. What we need is to turn on bisect and invert it like that. And we can also get rid of these faces. So we have the arc, I think. That's it. Then we just need to use another mirror modifier. And we have that. And then another mirror modifier. Or we can just use the same mirror modifier. Like that. Let's apply. Yeah, that's it, I think. Yeah. Then from that, we can add an array in the Y or in the Z because the rotation is already messed up. So -1 like that. And we have that. Now we can scale this up. And we can even add a bevel. I'm just going to bring this above this. Just scale it down on hardened normals. Just make sure that the angle is maybe 15. Same with the auto smooth, set it to 15. Mirror is powerful. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Can use it to make quite a lot of interesting stuff. And speaking of the mirror modifier, before we add the array, I think, or even other things like this, I think we need to mirror this again, but this time I need another empty. We need to mirror this again, mirror. Using this object as the mirror object, turn on bisect. Just bring this closer. And we can have that. And again, we will need another mirror object. Again, I'm just going to duplicate this and use that as the mirror object. And what we want to do is mirror this on the Y. Just move this closer. So these are close like that. And we also need to make sure that we have bisect on. Let me see. So something like that. And this can be a bit like this one. Let's save this as I don't know how to call this. I'll call this axe. Like that. And bro, this is so tricky. It's kind of tricky, but when you wrap your head around it, I think you can get it. Yeah, so just to make things much easier, I wanted to apply this, but I think I have to wait a bit because this is still a bit too long. So let me see. What do I do? Okay. Then before applying the array, we can add, I just need to go in the middle here, add a cube, and that is going to be our beam here. Scale it down like that. Make sure my music is on. Just extrude this down like that. Hey Yusuf, Tysers, thank you for the 10 TROI. Yeah, I'm not sure what currency is that, but I really appreciate it. Thank you. Ganja Farmer, I think you are triggering. You the one who triggering Nightbot, because every time you come around here, you're the first to get timed out. I'm not sure why it hates you, but I didn't even see what you said. Let me see. Actually, you said hey everyone, and Nightbot just yeah, Nightbot really hates you for some reason. Anyway, so let's try making this arch or whatever this is. I think it's a pole. Okay, it extends about down here, and since I already have these things here, these cornices, I think that's what they're called, I'm just going to use them. I have them in my asset library, so I'll go to the asset library. Hello Kuma33, how are you doing? Glad to see you. I can go to my is it building park? No, it's under building parts, I think. Sailing, yeah. I have these things here that are the same as these, so I can just use them instead of doing things from scratch. So let's add that to our scene. Now I can basically just use a mirror modifier. Just use a mirror modifier to just align everything. Just make sure the rotation is set correctly. Down on clipping. But you always stream when I'm at school. That's why I don't join the stream. Sorry about that. But the stream is always there if you want to watch it. I figured I found that this is the best time to stream for most people. So that's why you see I stream around this time. Sorry if that's not working for you. Yeah. So this is this. And I think we need to add a series. Let me apply this and then add a cylinder here. Just make sure it's at the center. Shade smooth, auto smooth. Just grab this and pull it down like that. Okay. Now we have that. Now, for the bottom, you can just add a cube like that. It should be enough. Maybe even round off the corners just a bit. Auto smooth like that. Now we can just join these two, and that's our pillar, and it's going to have to be connected to every single piece, like here. Another thing we need to do is apply all these modifiers so that we can use the array better. So to use the array, I'm just going to add an array on the Y. Just make sure that I have this rotated correctly on the Y like that. This is a very large gap. That's why I was trying to add this. So just grab this and this and this and scale them until this gap is as thin as the rest of them. Just grab this as well, like that. And we can now use an array for this, and just make sure that we have one for every point, like that. So, and I think this needs to be mirrored, and the mirror should be around here. So origin to 3D cursor, like that. Or we might need an empty to have this mirrored correctly. So, and the mirror should be above the array. Just select this, and just grab it. So this, and this has to use a bisect. Why don't you make a tutorial on Gippy? What is Gippy? When did you do the stream when there was a floating man with stones around him? Yeah, that was a different. That was the medieval tutorial, medieval scene, medieval town. And if you go to Blender and Beyond, Blender and Beyond, that website, I think you are talking about this, this here. So yeah, it started out trying to make a medieval town like this, but I got a lot of suggestions from the chat, so we ended up making this. That's what you were talking about, I think. The man, it was a woman in behind some clouds. So we ended up changing the stream entirely to something different. Oh, Gliss Pencil? I rarely use Gliss Pencil, so I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. I think we need to position the camera somewhere in the middle of this. Just bring this down. Change this to maybe 30 millimeter. Let's add a plane for the ground. And I think I need to move this like here, and then increase the array count. And I change also the aspect ratio, so 1080 by 920, or something like that. Just get things to look identical like in our scene. And let's set up some lighting. I think for this we're going to use cycles because it's going to render better. So I'm going to get rid of this light and just use a skylight in cycles. Also just set boundaries here. Also go to the world settings, change the rotation maybe to 10 or 90, like that. And maybe the intensity can be down. Just checking, make sure that everything is good. Okay, yeah, so the intensity can be a bit down like this. We don't need these empties anymore. They're not very useful, but yeah. And I'm also going to go to my color management, bring down the gamma, maybe the exposure as well, and make sure that I'm using the GPU and the noising is on. Let's start at samples, 10 samples like that. And let's go back to the sun a bit, change the elevation, maybe let's try 50. Okay, see in the opposite direction of what I want. Let's try 10. I change the rotation to maybe 45. So 50. Let's try 90. Let's try 180. Let's try 270. Yeah, we want the same direction, to have the same direction as this. Maybe 290. Yes, so the angle is the same. The elevation can be 40 so that we have longer shadows like that. And then let's create this river here. And I think we need to extend this a bit to make it longer like that. Same with these pillars. It can be a bit longer as well. Oh, many. Oh, actually, they have to be more like that. And I'm just going to add a wall on the side here so we can start blocking some light. Except from this side, I don't want light to be broken or blocked. Then for the curve here, just going to go in and add a curve object and start morphing it. Just use automatic. Just yeah, make that. And I can just duplicate this like so. Maybe. So that's going to be the path of our water. Let me just bring this closer to this. Bring it up around like that. 2 minutes left. We have to reset because that's not going to be enough for this scene. So for this, I'm just going to convert this into a mesh. But let me first reduce. Hey, Yusuf. Taisus, thank you for another try 10. Thank you, really appreciate that. Nice. Today we have made $4. That's great. Get some coffee with that. Really appreciate that for anyone who has donated. Yeah, it really helps. So I'm going to reduce the resolution a bit at something like that. Right click, convert to mesh. You can take your time on this. Yeah, I have an appointment today, so that's why you see. It's not the reason why I'm rushing, but I want to just time myself and see a good idea of how long it takes me to do something. So let's reset this again, and we can always reset the timer. So for this, let's first go back to Eevee so that we can do this without, yeah. Just say this to Eevee, ambient occlusion, turn on some ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections. And since these have the same number of edges, we can just bridge the edge loops like that. Grab these outer edge loops, extrude them up, and then extrude them on the x-axis like this. I can grab this and scale it. I just grab this x scale it like that. So we have that going that side, and this going that side like that. Shade, auto smooth, shade, auto smooth, auto smooth, auto smooth is here. So sometimes if you use auto smooth and it's not working, you can try going to your normals and under geometry data. Actually, I don't see anything why that is causing this to stop, to not work. Let me see, right click, flat, auto smooth. Okay. Oh, change the angle to 32. That should be, that's what is causing the issue. Another thing I wanted to do is first get rid of these and get these edge loop extrude along the normals like that, and then I can bridge them again. Then I want this. Let me see. I want to have this loop, this loop. Actually, I don't want them to loop around like that, so just grab this, and I think I need to get rid of this side as well. This and this I need to get rid of. This is a beautiful reference scene. Yeah, it's very, very beautiful. Let me see actually who the artist is. It's James Trarelli, and he used, okay, I'm trying to see what he used. I can't seem to scroll. Anyway, we'll check it out later. So I wanted to grab this and this, extrude it up just a tiny bit, and maybe run off these corners. You can use, we can just use the bevel tool or bevel modifier for that. Just recalculate normals and harden, so we have a nice edge like that. Is that a picture of a real place? No, that's actually a render, I think, from someone from ArtStation. You can just type in exclamation mark website, and that should take you to the reference images that we are using here, and maybe even give the guy a follow, because that's some interesting work, some amazing work. So now let's go back to, yeah, so we have this, and we need to create the water. First, maybe let's make the materials. So we need several materials here. So I'm going to go to my texture folder add-on, and just go to walls and see if I have some nice walls. Actually, I need to go to my PBR folder. Let me go to link a new folder. So resources, PBR, tiles. I link my tiles, and let's see, load as PBR. I think the first thing I can get is this tile here, tile set, create a PBR material, and I think I need to UV unwrap this. Actually, it's already looking good. I just need to scale this down. Now you're gonna make some caustics. Yeah, caustics really take a lot of time to render, so I'm not even sure how we're going to manage that. Now for the blue tiles, I think we can use these or these. So I'm just going to create a new material slot. Just grab this bottom part, assign it to that material, and get this create material. Just scale this down quite significantly. They're too dark, so I'm just going to add a color hue and saturation node here, and this is all by the help of the texture folder add-on, which you can get from my add-ons page. That page that Nightbot is going to link in. The textures is there. The texture is there in HDR High Heaven. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean there. So I want these to be a bit brighter. Actually, I can just use curves color hue and saturation, sorry, curves, and just make these a bit brighter. A bit brighter like that for the tiles. And I think, let me first undo this for a second. I think this pillar here, this base has to be brought up just a tiny bit so that it comes out of the water like that. And now for the water, I'm just going to grab this Shift D, P, and just extrude it up to something like that. And just make sure that it's using a different material, a water material. So the water material is just going to be, let's turn on screen space reflection and also refractions. The water material is just going to be a glass material. So shader glass. Just look at this here, like that. And we can also make sure that we are using, what is it called? Under material settings, we can use alpha blend and screen space reflections for the water to make it like that. We need it to be displaced a bit, so just as water. So vector bump map, and then texture noise map, noise texture, connect the factor to the height, and we can use object mapping for this. Did you save all the scenes? Yes, I saved all the scenes, and you can get them on my Patreon page if you want to get them. So this is going to be now the normal map, just so the water has some nice reflections. And yeah, still compiling the shaders. Yeah, I think this looks nice. Maybe reduce on the normal. So let's go back to cycles and see how, check this out. How this, hey, thank you, 20.5 euros. I'm going to have a nice lunch today. Like, I don't know what I will get, but yeah, all courtesy of you guys. Thank you for the donations. The IQR, I think you're meaning the IOR. Yeah, the IOR of water is 1.3. You say 1.33? Okay, 1.33. So I also want the shadows to come all the way this side. So again, with the sky texture, let's play with the elevation maybe to 25. Yeah, so we have that. We apply the scale of this. Let me also make sure that the normal, we have the right normal orientation for this. Yeah, what I'm not understanding is that we're not getting any light into the water. Let me first get rid of this. Hide this for a second. Let me hide the water for a second because I want the shadows to start around here as well. So elevation should be 40. Let's try 40. Yeah, so the shadows are long like that. Unhide. Yeah, it seems for some reason we can't cast any shadows into this. Let me see if we go, if we just make sure that this object doesn't cast any shadow. So visibility, the water doesn't cast any shadow. Visibility, shadow. Yeah, actually that's better because now we are getting some reflections in. Then we go to the hardest part. Yeah, also, I'm not seeing a lot of bounce lighting going on here. Maybe that could be because we played around with the exposure and the gamma. Let me give this a material. I should, in the asset library, I think I do have some more materials that I could use for this. Let me just make them a bit darker, maybe also a bit cream. I think water shader is so important in this scene. Yeah, it is so important. Maybe let me even give it a bit of bluish color just to make it more pop. Now the rest is just playing with the values here. Now let's going to grab this side and this side, assign them to a new material or a new slot, and we can get, I'll go to my text folder and look for some ground and rocks. I think this can work. Assign that, and that should be our ground. Then I really don't have the time to create these grass elements, so I'm going to use polygonic. Let me get the link for you, for anyone who wants to get it. Polygonic, I think it's called a botanic. The botanic add-on, if you want to get it as well, because I think I found myself using this a lot, especially in the latest streams. So you make it look so easy. Yeah, I guess that's a result of a lot of years of experience. And it's not that difficult as long as I start to understand the concept. It becomes a bit easier. Do you use Blender Kit add-on? They have so many free water shaders. Maybe you should try that. I rarely use it. I rarely use that. And because I don't know why I haven't used it, but because I think it's a cool add-on. Yeah, and I think the water looks good, and I didn't expect it to look that good. Anyway, let's add in some trees, spawn some trees here. I'm going to use botanic. You can see the link I've added in the description if you want to get that. I will just want some bushes, shrubs. Let's see, shrubs. What is under shrubs? Yeah, some shrubs. Yeah, so the placement of this. And I think the best way to do this is just grab this here, Shift D and then P to separate it into its own object. And what I'm going to do, I just have all these things, all the pieces that I want to create. So we have a botanic collection, so I can add a particle system. You know what, I can just place this by hand. There's no need to be fancy. I can just place these by hand. Let me first get the roof, hide the roof for a second. Just duplicate these around. Scale some ones down. Maybe give them a slight rotation. Look for other shrubs. Maybe this larger one. Just duplicate, scale, duplicate, rotate. Okay, I think the last piece we added has snow on it. So, and yeah, we shouldn't have snow in these. Let me grab this. Image you live in a place like that. Image you life in a place like that. Okay, ganja planter, whatever you are. I don't. Ganja planter, don't smoke what you're planting right now, because I can't understand what you're saying right now. Looks like paradise. Looks realistic. Yeah, this piece is just amazing. Alpha tree generation is so helpful in this kind of situation. Yeah, it seems that the pieces I'm adding on seem to have snow on them, which is not what I want. Let me see. Maybe don't. Let's get another shrub here. Yes, look for non-carnivorous. These are too large for this kind of scene. Maybe something like this can be added in somewhere. Maybe smaller. It doesn't seem like we need a lot of these. Are these trees low poly? Nah, they're not low poly. Yeah, ganja. Yes, it's a joke, but if you have started taking what you're farming, man, no. At least after the stream. Yeah, the trees are nice. They're really good. It's not my product, but I have an affiliate code. So if you buy it, I get a small commission. Really helps out a lot. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And the other thing I could do is add a plane in the back here. You just woke up? I think Nightbot can, yeah, is able to detect. And just says, no, this guy is not bringing his nonsense here. It just blocks you for some reason. Okay, so I just want to give this animation shader so that we have a very bright spot there, maybe a 10 like that. Only 30. I had even forgotten about the timer, but yeah, so we have done this in about 40 minutes. Looks like it. Looking that like. Okay, yeah. Hey, I'm not understanding what you're saying there, but let's add another light, because I think there isn't a lot of light coming on here, and I think the trees here are just simply too thick. I wish I had. Okay, so these are tropical, you say? Tropical. Yeah, so these here I think could work very well. Now this has to be scaled down significantly. And I think this has snow on it, so I'm going to get rid of it. and get rid of some of these as well. Have that there. Alt D, grab this on the y-axis, rotate it, and scale it, maybe rotate it again like that. Yeah, so what I wanted to do is add a very large light here, area light here. So Shift A, area light, and I want to make sure that this is a rectangle, maybe 10 meters wide, just facing this direction, and it has to be very, very powerful. Let's try 1000. And what we can do is first turn off the light from the sky, and I'll also first turn off the light from this side. See, hide this as well. Okay, so I want to have a lot of light coming from this, so maybe let's set this to 2 meters wide to be that bright, and then we can bring back our sun. Another thing we can do is, because I'm seeing that this area is also bright, so I'm just going to grab this, rotate it here. This can be a square light, but not that powerful, so around 100. What is this, the tomorrow live? I'm not sure. I haven't really thought to that yet. Looks very, very nice. Maybe put a palm tree at the end. A palm tree at the end. So that means I would have, let me first grab this. A palm tree at the end. Maybe this. Is it even visible there? So it would be something like that. Just play with the exposure. And I think I need to duplicate this. Just bring this closer so that we cover that area as well. James Water is so fantastic, don't you think? Yeah, it looks way better. I'm not sure which render engine he's using though, because oh, it seems he's using Blender. He's using Blender. Nice. He's using Blender, and he also has caustics. So he's using Blender. This render was created in Blender using the Cycles render engine. Wow. Amazing. I like how his leaves here are also overexposed. And his roof also has some nice details to it. But I'm not going to add that in. I think the palm tree would be good near the camera. But that will put it right in the pool. That would have it inside the pool, which I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe the water level can also be a bit high. Actually, I think I like it better. Then I think the rest is just adding some post-production, adding bloom, adding things like that. Actually, let me add an Instagram-like filter to this. I'm facing an issue in Blender. I cannot see Principal BSD F in shader. Please help. What version of Blender are you using? Palm tree in the water pool. Yeah, that was my question. Not in the water, on the land. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of getting confused as well, because palm tree is any plant inside a pool. Yeah, it's questionable. What else can we add here? Because I think I'm out of ideas. Let's increase the intensity of the sun to something like 5. Let me first hide. I see. I just reinstalled it a week ago. You can try. So when you use Shift A, do you not see the? Okay, when you try to add a new material, doesn't the principal shader come up? And because that's usually the default shader that you get. Okay, I think we are ending the stream here. Thank you guys for coming around. Thank you for 71 likes. You only see the principal volume. That's strange, because I've never seen that. You see, when you create a new material, say for example, if I add a cube like this and add a new material, the new material is always the principal shader. So what are you getting when you do that? Okay, this also looks good in different angles, I think. You need to be in the principal shader, not in the world. Yeah, I think that's the issue. Maybe you are in the world setting. Make sure that you are in the shader editor. Okay, so this is it. Thank you for being around. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video.